day, guys. We are a month and a few days away from 2026, and I have this question for everybody, whomever this video comes across. How have you been moving? Have you been moving? Have you been moving physically but not spiritually? Or have you been moving spiritually and not moving physically? Because a lot of you this year you moved physically but you did not move spiritually. And a lot of you this year you moved spiritually and you did not move physically. And that section, the last section, is mostly for people that were in an isolation season. And I just feel that to share my experiences from what an isolation season is, because I put out a video talking about how an isolation season is actually a training season, and now I'm making this video to talk about how an isolation season is actually, okay? Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna hold my phone. An isolation season is actually an invitation from God to it's an invitation from God. Yes, an isolation season is an invitation from God to grow with Him, to allow Him to train you. Based on my experiences of what an isolation season is, this is a season where it feels very lonely. Friends will cut you off. You will cut people off. Things will not work out. You are gonna feel indecisive on what to do. There is literally gonna feel like a stumbling block in everywhere you turn. And I want to say something powerful. Not every blocked road is Satan. Not every blocked road is Satan. God blocks road too, okay? And the reason why Satan would ever block our road is two things. Either God tells him to do it, or he has a kind of hold, a kind of legalities against you. But we're not going to talk about that because I'm not versed in legalities yet. But yes, an isolation season is an invitation from God to rest in God, to grow in God, to know God. An isolation season, like I said in the previous video that I put out, is a season where God invites you to grow in Him, to grow with Him. An isolation season is basically healing and spiritual healing. Yes, I believe just can't not stop thinking that actually healing is a spiritual thing, because there are certain places that we cannot enter if we're not healed. It's not just in the spirit, it's like literal physical doors that we cannot enter, atmospheres, that places where we cannot enter if we're not healed. Yes. And based on my experiences of isolation season, it is a season where God invites you to rest in Him. Okay, during an isolation season, God's gonna destroy every identity that you have. Every identity that you've had in the world, God is going to destroy it. Right before I met the Lord, even after I met the Lord, I used to still write. I used to do a whole bunch of things. And then God was like, don't call yourself a writer. Don't call yourself a dancer. Don't call yourself a this. Don't call yourself a that. Call yourself my daughter. So during an isolation season, it's a resting season, but I don't know how to say this. It's a resting season for you to rest in God, not to rest in distractions. An isolation season is an invitation to rest in God. It's just like going on spiritual vacation. And it's just you and God. It's just you and God on an island. That is what isolation is. It's just you and God on an island. And sometimes when God is on the island with you, He doesn't say anything, and sometimes he says something, but it's just you and God on the island. That's what isolation is. And I want to talk about something very powerful. I feel like a lot of you this year and a lot of people next year will be isolated. A lot of people were isolated this year, and a lot of people will be isolated next year in 2026. Okay, this is like isolation also is an invitation to grow spiritually. There are certain things that you need to know. God needs to heal you in the areas. He needs to refine you. So that's what happens during an isolation season. But there are some people who are in an isolation season, but they do not know that they're in an isolation season, and they think that it's a blocked road. I see so many people, I talk to so many people, and they're like, oh, things are not working out well for me and all that. And I'm like, oh, you're a Jonah. You are a Jonah. And things will not work out well for you until you give in to the will of God. And a lot of people do not realize that they're refusing the will of God. Yes, when you make plans and all sorts of plans, when those plans do not align with the plans of God, yeah, that is being a Jonah. That is being disobedient. And I feel like a lot of people were isolated by God and they did not even know that they were isolated. Because I'm going to say this again. Every blocked road is not Satan. Many blocked roads is God making it happen. God blocks road for reasons. And a lot of people have been isolated. Okay? A lot of people need to understand that the blocked roads that are happening in your life, if this resonates to you spiritually, take it to God, of course. God does this to people whom he has a purpose for. He's gonna block every way, and then they're gonna say, follow my way. But a lot of people do not even know that God has blocked their ways, or they're in an isolation season. So what will happen is, I always tell people, when I see people are isolated and they don't even know they're isolated, I say, this is a perfect time for you to grow in God. Read scripture, pray, worship, try and get closer to God. Deepen your relationship with him. Or if you're not yet close with him, try and learn who he is. I usually tell people this and they're like, Aisha, what are you saying? What are you saying? But I literally went through this. I have been isolated for years and I did not even know. It was until this year, that I kind of realized, oh my God, I've been isolated and I didn't know. Okay? A lot of you automatically think that you are in isolation only when you start communicating and growing your relationship with God. But a lot of you were already in isolation before you even met God, but you didn't know. And I'm going to say this again. Every blocked road is not Satan. Some blocked roads are God. And this usually happens to people whom God has chosen specifically for specific purposes. Okay? These are people whom God has chosen for specific purposes. He is going to isolate them because he has already planned their future, how they're going to move and all that. And I don't know, I think I'm getting out of the isolation season. I don't know what to expect, but during this, I think I've been isolated for about, okay, I would say I think I've realized that I've been isolated for 3 years or maybe 4 years. I've been in isolation for 4 years, but it was only last year and this year that I realized it, and then I started growing and going and learning a whole lot of things. So, are you isolated? The signs that you are in an isolation season is blocked paths. Yes, I'm gonna say this again. I'm gonna say this. Not every blocked path is Satan. Not every blocked path is warfare. Sometimes it's God. Yes. Remember, Moses was isolated for 4 years before God called him to go and confront Moses. Yeah. Before Jesus started his ministry and he went into the wilderness and stayed there for 40 days, that is not even an isolation. Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps already. That was not an isolation. That was a pre-preparation. Jesus was already being prepared since he was born. And let's talk about Joseph, my favorite. Joseph was isolated when he was thrown in the pit. Then from the pit, he was thrown in prison. You see all sorts of isolation places. Who can I? Yes, John the Baptist. John the Baptist also was isolated before God threw him out of the world. Yes. So, if you're somebody and you have no way out, everything feels black for you, you are in an isolation season. You are in an isolation season. Not every block path is a curse, or it's wherefore, or it's Satan, or it's I don't know how to work out my life well. It's an isolation season, and God can choose to call you when he wants. You don't have to already be in communication with God for him to necessarily how would I even say this? I'm gonna say what I said before again. A lot of people are in isolation season, but they do not know. And when God calls them, they start growing in God, they usually think it's the isolation season, but it's not. A lot of you have been isolated by God for so long, since you were a child. Yes. So there's an isolation season. One of the biggest, I'm going to say this again, one of the biggest sign of an isolation season is a blocked path. God is going to block your way. It's going to block every idea that you have. I know this is happening for a lot of people, schools, work, friendship and all that. God is going to block you. He's going to block your way, and you're going to feel isolated. So think about this. Am I or am I not in an isolation season?